I wanted a classroom that got away from PowerPoint and lecture style that we would find in a traditional classroom. We wanted something a bit more modern for our students. We had learning technologies come and be incredibly supportive to our program and in our classroom. And when it came time to try something new, such as game-based learning, there was no hesitation with that project. It was a, hey, yeah, let's try that.
Probably the most powerful aspect of game-based learning is that the learning happens without being explicitly told that the learning is happening. It kind of happens without the students being aware of it until either the facilitator or the instructor were able to stop and highlight the fact that, hey, you did a really good job. You practiced this technique perfectly, or you were able to pull a behavior out of the lesson that otherwise wouldn't have happened.
We came up with the idea that game-based learning could be incorporated into the program here at Commercial Pilot, and specifically the topic of crew resource management. With the aviation industry the way it is headed, we're into airplanes now that have complete computerization, glass cockpits, paperless cockpits. We fly with iPads. So why not have a classroom that looks similar to that? So that would mean incorporating simulators, whether that be this unit here or a Microsoft simulator, VR headsets, devices that can provide more active learning for our students, get them involved into the lesson themselves rather than just sitting in their chair and listening to me spill out the information.
We came into this expecting just to sit in a classroom, learn from our instructors, but not only do we do that, and it's great, but Sask Polytech implemented this amazing program where we play video games and actually learn how to do a crew resource management through a video game, which is really fun for especially young people like us.
We came into this expecting just a ground school delivery every day, sitting in the classroom 8 to 2 and doing that daily, and then flying on the side, learning from our instructors as well. But I mean, Sask Polytech set it up so we get a lot of exposure to the industry as well. We'll go in and we'll do tours and we'll meet other pilots and get our names out there. And it's also exciting to be at the forefront of that, be the first people to be able to test that out.
The way that the lesson was designed with a commercial pilot program was we took Portal 2 and we tried to replicate what's called a two-crew scenario, where there is a pilot who's flying the plane and a pilot who's not flying. And in a two-crew scenario, there are times when the pilot non-flying has to go through a checklist. And there is a specific way that they must approach the checklist and communicate the steps. And there is a specific communication technique that has to pass between the pilot flying and the pilot non-flying. We wrote out the steps for each student to complete the puzzle. We gave the steps to the pilot non-flying, who had to recite them to the pilot flying, and they had to demonstrate the communication technique. Now, the base of that lesson was communication. So we can take these kind of baseline skills of communication in this sense, or collaboration, which would be an easily accessed learning outcome in this situation, and we can just tailor and tweak the delivery of the learning tool to fit almost any program. Where we want to go with this is to develop a game-based learning center where the space and the equipment is there in place so that instructors or programs can bring or send students to the space so they can access this learning with the proper technology, the proper infrastructure, and the proper facilitation from somebody who is familiar with not only the learning outcomes, but also the video games that they would be using as learning tools, without programs and instructors having to pay and provide the equipment for themselves.
At first, I was maybe a little bit intimidated and worried about how this would develop. I'm not someone who spends a lot of time working with video games, but I have to think about the needs of my students and what would present opportunities to them and how they would learn most effectively. I think it went really, really well. Yeah, we were happy with the results.
I don't know if the elevator is what I went through, but I must have been. So check the elevator, then what's after that? Okay.